Let's bring in Ronan Lee. He joins us now from London. He is a visiting scholar at Queen Mary University. Ronan, good to have you on the show. I mean, looking at all the latest pictures, looking at the latest numbers, I mean, are we seeing Myanmar's military really getting serious in terms of the crackdown?
Well, they've always been serious. This is a military that in the past has been prepared to murder thousands of its citizens to quell unrest and to quell uprisings. In 1988, that was precisely how they behaved, and the same to put down the monk-led saffron revolution in 2007. This is the first time, though, that they've had to do that in the full glare of the internet age. In the past, Myanmar had very limited access to the internet. I mean, prior to 2012, there was no internet access in Myanmar of any meaningful way. So this means that this is the first time that the military has had to have its crimes viewed internationally on a daily basis. And they've tried at times to limit the media's access, but what's going on is that the protesters are very diligently making sure that they document the military's crimes and the military's domestic terrorism against Myanmar's people.
Ronan, tell me this. You say that this is expected behavior from the military. The junta had announced that there would be free and fair elections at some point in the future, and they would actually transfer power. Looking at the trajectory of things, how believable are they?
Well, I mean, that's from the junta, it's an absolutely farcical suggestion. There was an election in November, and the military's proxy party was trounced in favour of Aung San Suu Kyi's National League for Democracy. They've had an election. The election was as free and fair as you can undertake an election in the COVID age. Most people, overwhelmingly the population of Myanmar, believe the election is a legitimate reflection of their aspirations. They want their civilian administration released from prison, and they don't want another election. I mean, the bottom line is what the military is trying to do is keep the civilian leaders, Aung San Suu Kyi and others, away from the people. They're obviously under arrest. They'll probably ensure that they're not able to participate in a future election, because every time that there is a free and fair election in Myanmar, the military is soundly rejected by the population.
Tell me this. In recent weeks, we've seen police officers sort of defecting and joining the ranks of the protesters out in the streets. But what's interesting here is that I believe it was today that we've actually seen a group of military officers actually leave their barracks and put up the three fingers. I mean, is this could this be sort of like a tipping point?
Well, we can only hope. There's two things going on in terms of two major things going on in terms of opposition to the coup. There's obviously the street protests that are a very visible representation of public anger against the military, but there's also a general strike and a civil disobedience movement that's underway. This is a strategy to ensure that the military can't govern the country. It's shut down the banking sector, transport is not functioning as it normally would, and the bureaucracy is slowly grinding to a halt. So police and soldiers joining into that is central to the objectives of the civil disobedience movement. The hope ultimately of the protesters on the streets and the civil disobedience movement is that it will become apparent to Myanmar's military, whose desire is for more than power. I mean, they have extensive business interests. This is as much an economic battle as it is a political battle. And the hope is that between the protesters and the civil disobedience movement, that powerful forces within the military will realise that their likelihood that they'll be able to continue making money is greater if they allow democracy to return than if they continue to endorse the coup.
All right, fair enough. Ronan Lee, pleasure having you on. As always, appreciate the analysis. Thank you.